Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our seasonal marketing best practices discussion. We're joined once more by John Ombach of Bright Choice. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. It's been a crazy week, but I'm like running around like crazy, but it's really good.
Yes, it's like right now is your like Oscar season or something. You're like, running a million miles a minute and
Yep,
barely know where you are, what day it is, all that good stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, today we're going to dive in and really talk about social media. Last time we did a broad overview. We talked about a lot of different aspects of marketing your business in a busy season. But today we're going to really hone in on social media. So you actually have a little bit of a background in social media, right?
Way back probably 2000, it was between probably 2009, 2010 and 2014 was
Okay.
around that time. So I worked for a social media agency. I was one of the first employees there, so I got to be hands-on a few different areas from kind of the
Mhm.
ground up. So lots of learning. Ran about $500,000 worth of Facebook ads for brands like 1-800 Got Junk, a painting company, professional speaker. So a lot of home service businesses, but also like random, restaurants and speakers and things like that.
Yeah.
So it was really good exposure. But social media has changed so much in the last 10 years that,
Yeah.
I mean, some of that knowledge is like fundamental foundational knowledge, but like
Sure.
at a tactical level, I have no clue what I'm doing. How the new targeting works, I have no clue what I'm doing. So yeah, I've been out of it a long time.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's challenging for sure on the ad side to keep up because it changes so much. And even on the organic side, understanding, what's actually resonating with people, what type of content performs best on every platform. Is there a particular platform that you feel like is better or worse for home service businesses and how you kind of differentiate where to spend your time?
Facebook is 1000% underrated.
Mm,
Facebook generates so many leads. It's for different home service businesses. It's not even funny. And I
mhm.
think I'm no expert in this area, but just from my observation, it seems like Facebook has aged up. So a lot of like decision makers use Facebook pretty consistently. Even people that say they don't use Facebook that often are probably still logging in like once a day or something.
Mhm.
And there's so many groups and resources online that people go to like their neighborhood group or their San Antonio group and they ask a question or they ask for recommendations. And
Mhm.
I know a carpet cleaning company in town and they generate almost $1,000 a week consistently just from Facebook groups, just from people saying like, hey, go with Andrea, San Antonio Quick Dry, and
Does anybody know
consistently,
anybody? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
Facebook's super underrated. Instagram, this is kind of our first few months using Instagram, and it's been really great so far. I feel like we're reaching a new audience, a new demographic. Instead of my personal brand, for what it's worth, my very small personal brand is primarily home service business owners. So that's primarily been my audience lately. But on Instagram, since we started from scratch, I think y'all have done a great job creating content that resonates with, you know, our core demographic, those decision makers, those key buyers for like
Right.
telling their husband, like, hey, I want holiday lights. And, if you're not going to hang them, we need to hire someone, and we've been making some really cool content around there. So I
Yeah.
think both of those have been really great for us so far.
Yeah. How did you get comfortable with the idea? Because a lot of times when we're working with a business that is more of a, service or it's serious, it's a little bit more of like a, kind of buttoned up B2B, type of client. We have challenges where they want to talk about, well, we just want to do really informative educational content. And we have to sort of help balance that with what do people actually want to consume. So
Right.
how do you feel like you're able to mix and sort of get your point across, but do it in a way that the content is actually engaging?
It's so funny you bring that up. I think the first word that comes to mind is trust, right? So like we have to trust y'all. So
Mm-hmm.
like, and I'm laughing right now. I'm gonna pull it up. We did an Instagram post Patrick and I with like a Kim Kardashian voiceover, and it was terrible. Okay, I've never done a voiceover. It was terrible, but our brand is all over it, right? It's like we have our logo, we have our van, we have our Christmas decor in the background, and it
Yeah.
has almost 2,000 views. And we just posted that. I don't remember. I don't know if that was yesterday or the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh man, it was stressful making that. I felt dorky, but again, it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about our core demographic and kind of some of the things they can relate to. It's about what's trendy on the platform. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say trust is the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I think I was in business 2 years before I even promoted my business on social media. I think coming from like a corporate world, I'm an educated person coming from a corporate world. Like I felt embarrassed to have a home service business, and I think it took me 2 years to kind of get out of that bubble and realize like I'm not a pressure washer. I'm a home service business owner, and I'm looking to scale my business way beyond me. So what do I need to do that? And I think social media is a key part of that. So I think I had to let go of like my ego and my insecurities. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like this weird dynamic where I've realized that like people really do not care what you're doing, and then people really really do care what you're doing. And there's this like weird dynamic where it's like I could post anything, like I could post that Kim Kardashian thing, and like no one's going to care. People are going to laugh at it, people are going to find it humorous or whatever, entertaining, but they're not going to care necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I get messages all the time. I'm not exaggerating. I It probably averages out to one message a day where someone's like, yeah. I had someone I went to high school with 10 years ago, and he was like, "Hey, you're killing it. I can see you're out of your comfort zone." Like he knew me really well. And sales scared me, being in front of the camera scared me, talking scared me. And he was like, "I could see you getting out of your comfort zone. You're on the news segment, you're doing social media, like you're killing it." Like I get
Yeah.
messages like that almost every day. So it's this weird dynamic where like no one cares, but also people are cheering you on and rooting for you. And I don't
Yeah.
know, you kind of just have to get out of your own way.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. This turned into like a whole therapy session too of like your your emotional growth as much as your business growth. But no,
It's
I think
yeah.
the common denominator there too is that people have really started to show up when they see you really growing as a person and putting yourself out there. And I think that's a testament to the fact that people genuinely want to support small business owners. So when you put that face to a brand and are willing to put yourself out there, now that's a brand that I feel so much more connected to say, oh, I want to give him a call. Like they're hilarious, they're witty, they also seem like they know what they're doing. Like you've got that kind of perfect mix going where people are excited to cheer you on at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's weird because when you start putting yourself out there on social media, and I'm like the smallest social media person. Like I don't even consider myself a social media person. We've just been posting on social media a couple months. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like inflate my ego, but I'm just saying like when you start being a little more consistent about it, you start putting yourself out there, you just have no idea where the opportunities are going to come from. You kind of just have to trust the process,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started getting messages from people I haven't talked to in like 5 to 10 years, from different, my different backgrounds, whether it be college or like a previous job I had at a previous company, or like just working in the same area as them. I worked for a company, I geeked them downtown, and there's just
Mm-hmm.
other businesses around, and they start seeing you, and then you just don't know where those kind of things are gonna where they're gonna shape or form. Like I
Right.
had one customer from Geekdom. He signed for a 3-year agreement, $2,200. So that's 246. That's $6,800 over 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason he knows what I'm doing is because of our social media content, and that's just one example of many.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can't really overthink it, and you can't have too. I'm very analytical, but you gotta kind of have to just put that to the side and just
Mm-hmm.
trust the process. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So in this seasonal time frame, we're really pushing a lot of content that is, Christmas, 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 holiday, holiday, holiday. How do you balance out after the holidays? How do you kind of transition back into, quote unquote normal content? Do you let your pages go dark? What do you feel like you guys are thinking as we, look ahead eventually once we're out of this, crazy busy season for y'all?
I've been thinking about that, and I see other people in our industry, they split their pages, holiday lighting, and then whatever other service they provide.
Hmm.
I feel like if you have to do that, you're not telling your story properly. Like you're not doing it, you're not executing well. I feel like if we split our pages, we're going to lose opportunities with people that are already getting to know us and trust us. I think the hard part though is how do you go from something so magical and special and like heartfelt, like Christmas and holiday lights to like cleaning. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's challenging. I haven't really thought about it too much. I do think that, sorry, sun's in my eyes. I do think that going back to influencers, like having other people tell our stories is important
Yeah.
and trying to probably post. I'm thinking like we either come up with good pieces of content or we don't post type deal
Yeah.
versus 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 posting like really generic boring content that is just
Right.
if you see five of the same post about like someone left me this nice review, like people are not going to care, and I think Facebook and Instagram are just going to stop showing them your content. Whereas like if you can come up with something creative, like I don't know, I'll give you an example. So I mean there's little stories we can try to take from the real world and try to put on social media. Like we were hired for a job probably 3 or 4 weeks ago where an elderly woman slipped on her driveway and fell. And I
Mm.
think she got seriously hurt. So we
Mm.
got called out to go clean that driveway like either next day or the day after before she got home from the hospital. So
Aw.
that's like, it's not warm and fuzzies, but it's some sort of unique story that we can share that maybe other people that are caring for an elderly individual can like look at and relate to.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's an influencer with like a 2-story house and they've never cleaned the outside of their windows and they just look horrible, and it makes their home feel a little bit dingy. The sunlight's not really hitting their home how it used to. We
Yeah.
go and clean their windows and we brighten up their day. So
Right.
just trying to think of creative stories or creative angles to like promote
Yeah.
ourselves.
Well, I think the word that you have, said is really focusing on stories. Like you could post a graphic and say, "We do cleaning driveways." But if you say there's a woman that needed our help, we came, we got her taken care of. Like I would never in a million years have thought about, my husband's grandma, that could be something we could do for her to make sure that she feels comfortable, walking to the car and stuff like that. So if you give people that like anecdote to connect to, that's going to stick in their brain so much more than just here's a menu of our services, give us a call. It's so easy to just fly by that content and let it go, in and out. um,
Right. And I
yeah.
think, well,
Yeah.
sorry, I was going to say, I really like Gary Vaynerchuk's new book. I forgot what it's called, but he talks about something called SOC, strategic organic content. And essentially his thoughts around like making social media content is like, think about those decision makers and like narrow them down, like be as specific as you can. So
Mm.
like an example could be what we just talked about. Maybe it's an older child taking care
Caretaker.
of their yeah a caretaker taking care of someone who might need help,
Yeah.
who might be at risk of slipping and falling, and we create content around them telling those stories. And then on the total flip side, maybe it's someone who just moved into their new home, they're all excited and they want to
Mhm.
get it cleaned up and like looking beautiful. And then another angle is like spring cleaning, like the weather's beautiful outside, it's nice, we want to go enjoy like the outside or our pool, let's
Yeah.
get it cleaned up. So it's like thinking of all of these different types of like customer types and just creating content around them,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
not everyone who follows your page is going to see every single piece of content. So I think the thought process is let the algorithm like start figuring out who that content belongs to and let them show it to those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just giving a talk yesterday about target market, and one of the things that I was telling them was that I really like to be able, when we're building out consumer profiles for clients, is to actually like name that consumer profile and have, this is Phil that we talked to about this type of content, and this is Sarah that we talked about this kind of like really truly envisioning an actual person in your mind, so that it's almost like when you're writing that caption, you're literally writing like a text message to them or a letter to them, or something very, very specific, so that it humanizes it so much more than just, let me make sure I talk about all these features and benefits and slap our phone number at the end of it. So I love that you're kind of thinking along those same lines as well.
Yeah,
um,
and I think that's something we definitely should do. And I think even with us, even with us having like a target area that we're focused on, like 2 or 3 zip codes,
yeah.
there's so many like micro cultural things within that community that they would get and understand. And if we
Mm,
could create content around that, it just makes us that much more relevant to them. And
totally.
and that's why you hire like a professional like y'all, because I say that and I don't even know what those things are. Like
Yeah.
it sounds easy, but it requires research. It requires like,
Yeah.
really dedicated time to think like, what are some of the things happening there that's like special in that community? And
Right.
how can we kind of insert ourselves a little bit?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Especially with so many franchises putting out just horrible social media content, I think it's so easy to differentiate yourself. I
Mhm.
follow quite a few of the like our national competitors, and the content's just so generic that it's like I feel like no one's really feeling connected to it. So if
Yeah.
you're able just to differentiate yourself a little bit, it's
Mhm.
like it's a pretty significant difference when you're lined up compared to like five of the other like industry leaders or whatnot.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that really, signifies too is that you have an advantage being a local market expert. Like, we've had tons of clients come to us and say, "Oh, we tried working with an agency that wasn't based here in San Antonio, but they didn't know about Fiesta. They didn't know about, Alamo Heights night. They didn't know about, all of these different facets where if you're based here, if you've had years of experience of being a San Antonian, it's automatic. You're thinking about, okay, we got to order Fiesta medals. We got to be ready for, Dia de los Muertos is going to be one of the biggest things downtown in, the fall. So when you're aware of that and you're working with somebody that's local, or if you're a business that's based local, you've got to use that to your advantage, and make sure that people who are giving you a call realize, oh yeah, no, they're just like me. They live here, they work here, they play here. And again, keeping those dollars local versus, some random Joe Schmo from a big national brand. So,
Oh yeah, and some people really care about that. I mean, I think it's easy to dismiss that, and I think I've dismissed it, but some people actually care and ask, like, "Are y'all local?" And
mhm.
it's important to them. And I think, again, that's another story. That's another angle for another customer segment. And I feel like that's what social media is all about. Like, if you look
Yeah.
at our social media page, I think it's amazing because we have like Leah's made like these random holiday Christmas like meme GIF things. I don't even know what they're called. And one of them has almost 100,000 views or whatever, right? And it goes from that, which has almost nothing to do with our brand. They just see Bright Choice created the content. That's it. And then
Yeah.
it goes all the way to like me talking like about the clips we make. And then,
Mhm.
you know, influencer marketing and then what we're doing here. And it's like all of these layers and all of these content types. And
Mhm.
I think you just don't know what's going to work. I feel like you just don't know what's going to say the
Yeah.
right message to the right customer that can like change your business.
Yeah. Well, and it definitely speaks to like having a calendar, having a plan, having like, your thoughts and everything organized so that you can look at, okay, for this week, we've got one silly post, one informative post, one influencer post. We're making sure that we're not going too far one way or the other in the pendulum, that it's all that, mix working together. And then to your point, paying attention to what hits, what actually, drives some results for you guys. So.
Yeah, speaking of results, I don't know what you have next on your question, but I have my website analytics up whenever you're ready to jump into that.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to start. We launched Bright Choice pretty much the first week of October.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that because we started with nothing. No one knew the name, no one knew the website, no one knew anything, what we look like.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick and I, we both had our own individual companies and then we merged. We had Bright Choice together. It's our little baby.
Mm-hmm.
So we had zero website traffic. We've, in the last, since October 1st, we've had 1,180 people go to our website. These are unique new people.
Mm-hmm.
Of that, 670 have been from paid social, 216 have been from paid or from organic social.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, a that's almost 900 out of the 1,200 just
Yeah.
from either paid or organic social.
Yeah.
And then what I thought was interesting is we've had 382 people come to us directly, which I
Mm-hmm.
thought was crazy because, like I said, we have zero brand. We
Mm-hmm.
launched less than 2 months ago. So to
Mm-hmm.
have 382 people come directly to us by searching our name, to me, some of that definitely has to do with social media. I think some of it comes from like our yard signs, our
Sure.
vehicle wraps, stuff like that, which
Yep.
kind of amplifies what we're doing in the field. But
Yep.
I know that probably some of that organic social or paid social, people are just, instead of clicking on it, I think they're going to their web browser and just typing in the name and searching us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just a huge percentage of all of our website traffic coming from social. And then I text you guys, let me pull this up. I like the numbers. Okay, so I text y'all on Tuesday. So Tuesday was November 12th.
Yeah.
43% of our qualified leads have come from social media in some way, shape, or form. 43%. So almost half. And for us, a qualified lead is someone who either clicks or says they're willing to spend $800 or more. So
Mm-hmm.
we've probably had 100 to 200 leads from social media. I can't keep up. I'm getting texts. I get messages on my personal. A lot of it is just not qualified, but 43% of our qualified have been from social media.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just looked briefly, and we've probably closed two, three, four. So lifetime value, because we do the 3-year contracts, lifetime value, we've closed at least $15,000 worth of sales. Lifetime value over 3 years. So, and I know we've done more than that, but I need to
Mm-hmm.
go through my analytics.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. Like when I say Facebook's underrated, I mean Facebook's underrated. I think there's so much opportunity and potential there.
Yeah.
And even us, I feel like next year I'm already like thinking how we could do better. Like our ad strategy really suffered this year, I think, from the election. And I
Right.
think most of our budget was spent in October thinking it would be fruitful, but we didn't account for how much digital money is spent on the election. So
Yeah.
like our cost per lead was just through the roof. And that I've heard that across, like that's not a reflection of y'all. Like I talk to business owners almost daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
talked to someone who's out in New Braunfels. They were supposed to do 400,000 in sales this year, and he's like, we turned off our Facebook ads. It was just so unprofitable. We just couldn't do it anymore, and now we're
Yeah.
just so even the pros were having a hard time this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, social media works. I think you just have to like really work the system and get to know it a little bit, and like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Well,
leads to money, and I think that's what I wanted to hit on. It leads to real world money, even though you're posting these like weird, embarrassing Kim Kardashian voiceover clips. It can actually lead to real money if you work it, yeah, and
yeah.
trust the process.
Yeah, it gets your foot in the door, it gets you noticed, it gets you it gets you a split second of people's attention span, and in today's world, that means something. That is valuable to just get them to pay attention to you for a split second. And then I think the flip side of it is that, you could have the best social media strategy in the world, but if you're not closing the loop with an equally, great experience of, oh, yep, we're hitting that lead, we're definitely giving them a great experience, we're getting them a quote, we're getting them, great service once they do reach out, then it can, end up being a little bit, I think, frustrating, but you guys are doing a great job of making sure that the whole consumer cycle is positive and valuable for them too.
I hate that you brought that up, Akila, because I lost two leads. I lost two leads this
No.
week because I was too slow to respond. And
Uh,
it's just,
but that
it
happens.
hurts. It
That happens to
hurts.
everybody. Yeah,
But
yeah,
when the marketing's working and you're like trying to follow up,
yeah.
it's
I mean,
been,
you'll have that too
yeah,
with like even you'll have ads where people say, "I didn't put my number in there. What are you talking about? Like
right.
I didn't ask to be contacted." Like it's not bulletproof. It's not there's going to be
Yeah,
people that expect you to call within 10 seconds instead of 24 hours. So don't beat yourself up. You're doing
I
fine.
know. I know. But you bring up a good point. You have to be ready operationally. And I wish one thing I probably will do different next year is I'm probably going to hire like a seat. So right now we have a call center who takes all of our inbound. And
Yeah.
I think that's good because they talk to a human, they talk to someone who's local, based in the United States,
Yep.
and they're able
Yep.
to kind of answer some questions. I think that's really helpful because they're 24/7.
Yep.
But I think next year what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the call center, but I'm also going to have maybe like some sort of virtual seasonal somebody from like October through December. And then
Yep.
they're there just to follow up and do our digital renderings and take that information and like process it. And that's their only job.
Yep.
Um, because I'm just like, man, just these two jobs could have paid for them for a month type deal,
Mhm.
potentially. I don't know, but
Never
you
know.
just never know. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a great job of just, learning from what you can and, already kind of strategizing and thinking about next year's game plan, how you're going to be able to, make the next holiday season even bigger and better. And, gosh, as a small business owner, that's the best you can ask for is just to be continuing to take it day by day and figure out how you can improve and, hold on for the ride because it's going to be a roller coaster no matter what.
yep, that's right.
Well, it was awesome to talk to you again, John. Thank you so much for your time. Next week, we're going to be chatting about influencer marketing, really kind of digging into that and how it has also been part of your marketing mix this holiday season. So if you are watching, if you're interested in contacting John, he will get back to you. Don't worry. He will. But there's a QR code right up there above us to go to their website, add to our analytics, add to a couple more people going and boosting their Google Analytics. But anything else? Any final words, John, that you'd like to share?
No, I'm excited to talk about the influencer marketing stuff next week. I think that the content they're creating is just amazing, and I think it's really something special that no one else in our industry is doing, at least locally. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, even more stories, even more, great ways to connect with your audience. So we'll look forward to it. Tune in for that live stream if you are interested in learning more about influencer marketing, and reach out to John if you would like a quote for some holiday lights this season. Thanks, John. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.